Ike Ogiamian, how are you doing?
I am doing very good, Dr. Thunder. How are you?
I'm doing all right. I'm doing all right. You know, I first I first started noticing you because of some Black Manosphere content that I pretty regularly consume. In particular, your contributions to Kevin Samuel,
Hmm.
Kevin Samuels, and I want to ask, what drew you to the kind of content, this kind of content, into being involved in the Black Manosphere? What about it is a drawing sort of force?
Well, first of all, I would like to say, well, thank you very much. Since you reached out to me, I've been looking at your content, and I kind of feel honored to be one of those being interviewed in your channel. I see a lot of people that I admire. I may not know them, but just from learning about them on your channel, I feel honored to be one of those to be kind of interviewed here. To answer your question, really, it's a matter of following certain breadcrumbs, right? I am a lifelong student, which makes me sort of kind of a teacher. I know that you're a teacher. You actually went full board into the professional teaching realm. I haven't done that yet. Maybe it's at some point in my future here, but I've always been a lifelong student. And along those lines, the first content on YouTube that I started to consume was Joe Rogan. Okay. So I mentioned the lifelong student thing because, I'm generally interested in all kinds of topics: science, philosophy, spirituality, religion, whatever it may be, everything and anything. So Joe Rogan kind of represents a kind of free flowing, and I started this in about 2009 when he started, as a matter of fact. I think he started 2009 and 2010. Somewhere around that time, I started watching Joe Rogan because he has many different kinds of guests on his show. He is interested in many different kinds of things, which is similar to my kind of interests. And roll the clock forward, here comes this. Let me first of all mention, and let me know if I'm long-winded and full of tangents. If it's too much, I know I'm that way, but let me know if it's getting too
Yeah.
much.
Oh, no. No. This is, yeah. I know what I'm getting. I know what I'm getting. Go ahead. Go ahead.
All right. So before I roll the time forward on the Joe Rogan thing, there's always been one of my interests was the relationship between men and women, its history, its diverse forms over different uh, societies, different cultures, and so on and so forth. So as I watched Joe Rogan, then came Mr. Jordan Peterson, one out of the blue, right?
Oh yeah. Oh yeah.
Years later, after consuming this content. But before Jordan Peterson, there was Professor Harvey Mansfield. I don't know if you've heard of this guy. He's a professor at Harvard University. He's a philosopher. He wrote this book called Manliness, which was, and as the name would suggest, it's a rather provocative name to write these days as a philosophy professor at Harvard, right? So it was meant to be provocative. And he was kind of like the Jordan Peterson before Jordan Peterson, but he was doing it over in the ivory towers over there, which also Jordan Peterson was doing, but it never quite trickled down. I saw Jordan Peterson on Joe Rogan, and I found him particularly interesting for many reasons. And then I started following his content, and I saw his biblical series, was particularly great. I like Carl Jung also, so I kind of like the fact that he was talking about Jung in a serious way. And then the algorithm takes over. So you're watching Jordan Peterson, and then they start recommending certain other videos to you, right? And that's kind of how I found Solo TV84. He was the first in the Black Manosphere, if you will, that I found. Solo TV84 and O'Shea Duke Jackson. And I liked the content. It was kind of refreshing. They touched upon in their own particular, from their own particular aspect and perspective, this general topic of the relationship between men and women, and so on and so forth. And O'Shea and Solo I found to be particularly goofy and funny, and I like that kind of content. They're rather irreverent and so on and so forth. So clock keeps going forward, following the breadcrumbs, end up getting to Mr. Kevin Samuels, whom immediately kind of resonated with me because there's a the way he presents himself, first of all, and there's something a little OCD about the way he's always rearranging things on his desk. And I kind of identify with that a lot. Plus the fact that, so I'm saying things that are implicit, but they show themselves explicitly. Like I'm saying that he's constantly rearranging his jacket and doing things like that. And then it also turns out that he's an engineer, right? That was his background, chemical engineering. I have that same kind of background. So it kind of makes sense that he's kind of a little OCD that way with that kind of a background. And then he went from engineering into sales and certain other kinds of things like that, which I kind of am doing at this point. So I was immediately drawn to it, the quality of the content, the way he presents himself, and the similarity in the background. That's kind of how this whole manosphere and then to Kevin Samuels came about.
Yeah, you know, I think Solo TV84 was my first. It seems like he's the sort of the gateway into the Black manosphere for a lot of folks. I started noticing some videos being suggested to me. I watched a couple of these videos, and at first I didn't really know where to put it. You know, like I didn't have a context in particular for it. And then I, folks like Donovan Sharp and people like Minister Jap. And I actually discovered Kevin Samuels by watching The Seven on Donovan Sharp's channel.
Yes.
And then it's been a steady diet of Kevin Samuels. And I'll tell you what really resonates with me is Kevin's a Christian. And he worked at some of these mega churches as a singles, leader. And so he has that perspective on it. The information, the way that he presents it, is, I think anytime that you tell females something direct, I think it's, somebody's going to be upset about that. But I think he is doing it in about the most, hospitable way that you could say the kinds of things that he's saying, which I find to be absolutely, I agree with him on almost everything. And, I'm married, I have a son, and as a matter of speaking, I suppose I've been red-pilled after marriage. I think they have a particular... Also, I think Kevin is different than a lot of the other content creators in the Black manosphere and in the manosphere in general, where, you have like MGTOW and you have red pill, black pill, you've got... you have all these sort of different flavors of the same thing, MRAs. Some of the MRA stuff actually, I think, started causing me to be suggested to, that certain